Well, all right, gang. Welcome, 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 welcome. Here we go. Your saltwater guide. We got a big show for you today. We got a big show. Real quick, though, we're going to swing through, let you know we got those contests going on with Promar and with the Roasted Anchor Coffee Company. And then do not forget Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. Larry and the boys over there at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance got great deals going on for your saltwater guide members. So make sure to check that out. Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. You do not want to miss all the cool things that Larry's got going on over there. And without any further ado, we're going to bring in our special guest. I don't know. Some of you may know this guy. Some of you might not. But at the end of this, you're all going to know this man. Hey, Mr. Tito, come on in here. Let's talk.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing phenomenal. I'm very honored to have you with me. I've been following you for a very long time, and then you and I both got to work with Akuma for a very long time. So I can't even believe you're here with me. I'm super excited to have you with us. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So a lot of people out there know you from your MMA career, the octagon, all that stuff, but a lot of people don't understand you are a way better fisherman than you ever were a fighter, man.
Very correct. So I started probably about 6 years old, 6, 7, 8. I used to go fishing with my dad all the time. About 9, 10, I'd go on little small half-day trips with my father in Newport Beach, Newport Landing, and about 11 years old, I went out on a trip with the business crew, his business, and fish started coming over, sheephead, calico bass, halibut, barracuda, bonita, and I started naming all the fish off, and one of the deckhands pulled me aside, which is Mark Thompson, who's in Southern California. He was like, "You know a lot about fish, huh?" I go, "I love fishing. This is like I love it." He's like, "If you come out, you come fish for free, but you got to scrub the boat on the way in." I did school the next day, and I was there in the harbor in Newport Landing, and I was on his boat on Helena, and I was scrubbing a boat to catch a fish. So it was just the beginning of something great.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's how we all started. That's cool that you were doing the pinhead thing, going fishing and cleaning the boat at the end of the day, and then that kind of grew into your passion, and then something messed that up in the middle though, and you started beating people up.
Well, I mean, before that, when I was a pinhead, then I became a deckhand. I was a deckhand. I worked on the Fortune, worked on the Grande, worked on the Freelance. I went back and forth during the seasons. During the wintertime, I worked in the Dory Fleet in Newport Beach, did longline fishing. Gosh, that was all the way up until I was about 19 years old, and come to realize that I want to be a saltwater guy. All just drained from the just being on the water of the salt and the sun, and the guys who were 30 years old, they look like they're 40 or 50 years old. So I was like, well, I probably should go back to college. And luckily I went back to college, won 2 state titles in wrestling, and then I started mixed martial arts, which is the UFC, and became the world champion a year and a half later. So that was my diehard life of just doing that. I just really indulged in that completely, became the world champ, defended my world title 5 times, and my vacation time was fishing. So every time I went on a vacation, I would bring, the big PVC pipe with my rods in it. My backpack would have all my reels in it, my tackle. I go on boats and rent out charters, and I fished some of the best places in the world, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, for sure. But I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about, because one of my very best friends, and I used to run the Freelance for Donnie, and we had Donnie on the
Donnie
podcast
Brockman.
last
Yep.
week. He's watching right now at his house in Havasu, and I'll bet you he doesn't even remember that you were his deckhand on the Freelance. That's a big deal. The Freelance was the big deal back in those days.
Yep, actually, Chris Nobley, who I worked with.
I know Goebel very well. He's watching right now too.
Chris, hope you're doing well, man. Long time no see. God, talk about George Michael's lookalike.
Exactly.
Good looking guy, great personality, great fisherman, great captain. Um, we worked our butts off, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it was a fun time though, man. Fishing was so good back then. There was so much fish to catch. People and the boat carried 90 people every day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Lots of tangles, lots of untangling. It was a learning lesson. I learned a lot from it for sure.
Right, but it was a cool way to grow up as a kid, right?
Man, let me tell you, I wouldn't take anything back at all. I mean, at that time too, I lived in Santa Ana, California, and I used to take the 43 bus every morning. Either I'd stay the night on the boat. We fished for bat rays at was it Davy's Locker,
Right.
and sleep on the boat, then start work all day. And that was kind of the thing I missed out on was schooling because of fishing. And I look back on it now, and now I make sure my kids are in school full time. You know, they're straight A students, but we take our time to get them fishing. So, and fishing with our kids is important.
Oh yeah, well it's like your passion still right now. What do you want to do right now? You want to go fishing. When you're not fishing, you want to go fishing.
Exactly. It's the only thing I think I'll wake up at 3 in the morning to get my tackle ready. I set my alarm for 3 o'clock. I'm up at 2:45, and it's something I do love. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and then you had a pretty good thing going on. You had that little boat, that little go fast boat when that bluefin showed up in Southern California. You were like out in front of that stuff before anybody even you were out there. I saw you every day. I was running that wild and sack. We saw you zooming around on those foamers and all that stuff back in 2014, 2015, 2016. You were there.
Yeah, it was all about the chase, man. It was chase, get on them as quick as possible before they fell down. But I had a lot of great fishing. You know, my wife, she's a big fisherman also. My kid's a big fisherman. You know, I probably have about 3,500 hours on my fountain with twin 300s. Probably about 3,500 hours. My kid's probably about 2,000 hours of those hours on that boat with me. So
How
they saw the
wonderful.
roughest of seas. Couple guys, they got seasick once in a while, but they got some real serious fishing with me.
Yeah, and to introduce your boys to your passion and getting them out there fishing. I know what a big deal it is because I watch your social media all the time, and you are constantly talking about your boys and how important they are to you. And that's how I am. I'm all about the kids and keeping them fishing and making sure they get an education too. That's important because I missed out on that. I was a captain since I was 19 years old, but I worked on the boat since I was 13 years old. And yeah, didn't get much of that education thing either. So I'm glad you're keeping them into that too.
Yeah, you know, I mean, fishing is a passion. You know, you gotta love it. Some people don't like it. A lot of people love it, but those are the ones that put in the money and make sure that they have the right gear, that the right tackle, the right things to catch the right fish, species that they're trying to specificate on that certain day.
Right. Absolutely. And then what I really love about you is that you have the passion of the fishing thing, and then you're so into giving back, which you don't have. I mean, really, you got so much going on in your life, but you always stop and make sure that everybody around you understands how important it is for you to let them know that you want to give back.
You know, I think that's really important. I mean, this is what America's about: is giving back, help thy neighbor. You know, when I lived in Huntington Beach, I tried to do the same thing of helping out with my neighborhood. I wanted to be a police officer, and when I was on Fox News talking about being a police officer, the about 40 of my friends who are police officers, Tito, you don't want to do it. And then I was like, oh, why you say this? Like so much paperwork right now. There's times in 2020 it's really hard. So I said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm gonna become a city council member. So I became a city council member, Huntington Beach. Ran, got the most votes in Huntington Beach history. I was mayor pro tem, but I wasn't part of the agenda, and I get it. So it just came to a factor that I had to control what was in my environment, which is my children, my friends, my family, the people that are around me, and that's all I could control. And when I did that, I knew I was coming to Florida. The things that happen in California are really harsh with the children, having kids. If I didn't have kids, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd still be there. I still live there. But for my kids and their future, I had to make a decision as a responsible father. And it's important, because I never had a father growing up. As a kid with my parents having a drug problem, my mother, being sober and taking me away from my father, giving me an opportunity in life that I've always wanted. I've been very thankful. So I had the same situation happen with my children that I had to be responsible for my kids and give them a bright future. So moving to Florida was something that I was gonna do, but I wasn't sure where I was gonna go. I wasn't sure where I was gonna be. I told my wife about it. She's like, "All right, babe, let's do it. I love it. Ron DeSantis did an amazing job here. Protecting the children. And when I before I moved here, I came here right after the hurricane. It was Hurricane Ian. I got a call from one of my friends, Captain James Marco, which is a friend of mine, a fishing friend of mine, and I could hear this sincerity in his voice of saying, "Tito, can you please come down here and help? We just need like just to boost some morale. We just need something help." I said, "You know what? I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to raise some money. I'm going to come out and help you guys out." So I raised about $170,000. We did generators. We did fuel. We did water runs. We're doing Matlacha, Pine Island, Northern Captiva. And to see the community come together the way they did, it gave me faith into this country. It gave me faith to people that love that neighbor and help each other. I've seen Cape Coral at their worst. I can only imagine seeing them at their best. And that's why I'm here. This is my home now. I'm not going anywhere. I just opened, or actually, we're in the midst of opening a restaurant, Tito's Cantina, Tequila and Bar and Grill. This will be one of 10. So I got a lot of work on my hands. Of course, being retired from fighting, now it's about getting in the business realm, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm quarter Mexican because I just have so many different bloodlines in me. I'm French, Mexican, Portuguese, Irish, Cameroon. I just have so much in me, but at the end of the day, it's truly about being American, doing the right thing, helping our neighbor, and just giving back to the community.
You do give back. That's for dang sure. And we both are involved in something that's near and dear to our hearts, War Heroes on Water. And
Yep.
a couple of the War Heroes are watching right now. They're big fans of both of us, but I am a huge fan of them. What I've done in my life is nothing compared to what they've done for you and I. So this
Very
War
good.
Heroes on Water thing, I just had all the guys on here a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. You and I, we've been giving back to these guys for a long time, but we can never give back anything compared to what they gave us, right?
Man, I couldn't even say I understand. I get a little bit of it because I've been to Iraq 6 times with the USO. I try to give back as much as I possibly can. Since 2001, after 9/11, then I understood about giving back to our community, giving back to our veterans, and our veterans are the ones who are going out there and coming back from war and willing to come back and understanding that this is our country, this is what we've been fighting for. Um, I've met a lot of great guys, a lot of great friends, and doing this War Heroes on the Water was a great experience just because I got them, off the couch, out of the house, on the water, catching big bluefin. One of the first trips we did, we got a 257-pound bluefin on the west coast of California. But it was just great to see the camaraderie towards each other. It didn't matter what branch they were from. They loved each other. They were from the Marines, from the Army, Navy, Air Force. They just gave back, and it was great. Great to bring them together, and I'm thankful for Warriors on the Water to really put this event together to give back to our veterans.
It's such a fun event to be involved in, and the what you and I get from these guys and seeing the joy on their faces and the love in their hearts just pays me back tremendous. I can't miss the event. I have been a part of it. I was one of the original captains. I've been with it since the infancy. I won't miss the event. I live in Cabo San Lucas. I drop everything and fly up every year just to do the event because it's incredible. It is so emotional when I'm there and I get to talk to these guys every time I'm with them and just feels my heart just gets so swelled up. So I know why you give back because it feels so good. It just feels so good to give back to these guys. We can't even comprehend what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of events. One of the other ones I work with is Real Warriors, and we take guys, probably about 20 guys out on long range. We do anywhere from a day and a half, 2-day trips, and just to be on the water for that night to drive out there. All of a sudden they fall asleep, but we wake up in the morning at 5 in the morning, get ready to fish, and wake up and watch that sun break the crest, and you're like, this is what like something great feels about. This is like having these guys have conversations. Then after you get done fishing, make from one trip to another. We're doing a 3 hour drive from one spot to another, and hear their stories of them in war, them just being together, helping out another brother. It's just amazing, and I'm very thankful to be a part of some things that I've been working with for veterans.
Oh, it's yeah, I feel the same way as you do, and I'm just glad that we're both working together. I mean, just to have you on the show with me and talking about this is going to change so many people's perspective of the whole thing. War Heroes on the Water is a phenomenal event that takes place in Newport Beach, California. When we do the parade through the marina through Newport Beach, California, it is absolutely incredible. The patriotism, all the people on their private boats and on the Duffys and on the bridges. I mean, does it makes it just it makes me tingle all over when I see it. It's just incredible to be a part of, right?
I love it. Like I say, when back in 2020, I was in Huntington Harbor, and we had Trump Flotilla, and probably had the most boats in Huntington Beach Harbor history. I think we did almost 600 boats, and just to see the community come together the way they did, and it was funny. And people say don't talk about politics; it's not the right thing to do. But it's not about Democrats, it's not about Republicans, it's not about liberal. It's truly about America. And this is something that we need to make sure we really fight for, and make people pay attention to what's going on in this country. Because it's important. A lot of people have lost their lives from it. A lot of people have lost limbs, and have gone through some, PSTD that really has affected their lives. So it's about giving back to them because they're willing to sacrifice their lives for our country, for our freedoms.
Absolutely. And it's so, I mean, you guys don't have to have a boat. You don't have to come out. You don't have to donate your boat. But if you come down to the harbor and watch the parade going through the harbor and watch the smiles on these war heroes' faces when they see that the community actually comes together to support them, that you when they see that, it's actually saving their lives because like Tito said, there's guys out there that are going through PTSD like we can't even comprehend, and to see that changes their life, and the sparkle in their eye is back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm working with Real Warriors as we take guys on trips. One of our friends, brother now, he had a drinking problem. He was drinking every day. He was trying to escape the pain, and we had a drink-free boat. You're not allowed to drink on the boat, and he was having a little troubles for the first day. But by the second day, and I had a lot of conversations with him, and he goes, "You know what, Tito? I need to be responsible for my actions. I need to be the man that I am. I'm going to stop drinking." And he stopped, and he hasn't drank since. He's from
Wow.
Missouri, and he's. We go back and forth. Like I say, I meet a lot of veterans, a lot of soldiers, and I give my number. I said, anytime you have any problems, please call me. Don't hesitate to call. Don't care if it's 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Call me. Let me know what's going on, because everybody needs somebody to talk to at some time or another. And since then, it's probably been about 6 or 7 soldiers, veterans that I've actually helped out, and gave back, and it's important. That's my part. That's what I want to try to do. Just try to give back. And I wish I could help. All of them. 50, 60, 70,000 that are homeless right now. I wish I could help them all, but I understand that I can only control what's in my environment, what's in my circle, and I'll do the best I possibly can do.
And you do. You are constantly there. I watch you a lot, and I mean, you make some pretty spectacular videos for the first responders, for the war heroes, and it's got nothing to do with you. You're not putting these together for you. You're making awareness, and that's what I think is so bitching. You're not like, look at me, I'm giving, but no, you are totally on showing them and what they do and how they do it. I mean, the stuff that you did for Florida, the stuff you did down there in Fort Myers, you and James is a good friend of mine too, and he'll be on the show one day. He's just too damn busy. But what you guys did, look at this devastation. Talk about this for a minute.
So this is Balance Island. This was some of the craziest devastation I've ever seen. I mean, the only thing that I could say compared to this, when I was in Iraq in 2006, and just see the devastation on land, just the devastation here. This is Matlacha Island, as I said. The boats on top of boats, people that lost their homes, the trailer park areas that were lost. In this area that I'm showing right here, or we're showing right here, there's actually dead bodies in some of these homes. This was day 4 after the hurricane. I was one of the me and Captain James Marco were only the civilians that are allowed on Matlacha Island at this time, and all there was officers. That's my partner, James Marco. But we're actually allowed to get on there because we had Captain James Marco's boat, and we're delivering fuel. We're delivering was it water and generators, and just trying to get these guys back on their feet and see the community come together the way they did. It gave me faith in this country. I was happy. I was like, wow, this is great. I can see these guys at their worst. I can only imagine seeing this city at their best. And that's why I uprooted my whole family from Huntington Beach, California, and we're here. This is home now. This is where we are. But it was really heartbreaking to see so many people lose so much stuff in such a quick amount of time that I had to help out. I had to give back. I had to make sure that these people get back on their feet and have the faith in themselves, in their city, and in their state, and this country to make sure we can make it turn around.
And that's an island there. So they were basically, from what I was watching you and James posting, they were basically cut off. The bridge was gone. They were just stuck on this island, right, with nothing.
Yeah, so right here, this is Fort Myers Beach. As you can see, there was actually buildings, 3-story buildings where all this stuff is completely destroyed now. The beach is pretty much gone. The water rose up to 12 feet and destroyed everything. And the hurricane sat here for 12 hours and destroyed and destroyed and destroyed and destroyed. And there's people that stayed, but there's people that left. And the ones that did stay, there were some lives lost, and God bless them. Hopefully they're in heaven. But the ones that did stay, it just shows how much that they cared about their homes, that they really wanted to make sure that they had a future for themselves. I mean, once again, this is Fort Myers Beach. You can see a few of these small homes that actually were still up. They're on stilts, and they actually were still up. The water rose over 12 feet. It was the craziest. The hurricane sat here for 12 hours, destroying. We can see FEMA right here. FEMA came in. A lot of first responders, strictly from here, from Florida, coming in to help. And that actually was all, trailer park homes. And then all that white beach, that was all trailer park homes. That stuff was destroyed. It was all pushed back, I don't know, maybe about 4 miles back. It was just, it was hard to see. As you can see right here, just destruction. Destruction. This is Hurricane Ian, of course, and just see the destruction that happened. It was hard to see. It was really hard to see, and I've never seen anything like that up and close here in America. It was just, it was hard. It was. I had some tears a few times. Of just going, I couldn't imagine this happening to me. I couldn't imagine this happen to my family, my friends, and my community. I couldn't imagine. So being here and being part of this community, as I said, I see them at their worst, and I'm excited to see us at our best. So that's why I'm here. This is home. Cape Coral, Florida. I'm here.
Right. And what I really loved about watching you and James, and when you were cruising around helping, and you weren't just there. Look at me, I'm making a TikTok video. No, you were there actually boots on the ground doing stuff. And the joy on the people, I mean, these people, we saw it. The devastation was incredible. But when they saw you and James with a case of water, they lit up like they had just won the lottery. It was so cool to watch, and it made me cry a lot. I was so wrapped up in what you and James were doing. It was incredible.
So here's the craziest story. So we're on, Fort Myers Beach, and this is actually the beach I was on, probably about a mile down to the right of this area. And in that video, we're actually giving out food to all the service workers and everything. But there was a lady who made it through the hurricane, and she was by herself. And I asked her, I go, "What do you need?" She goes, "Son, I would love a generator so I get fuel back again, or I can get electricity back again." And I said, "Let me work on it. I'll get it to you." Well, in about 7 hours, I got that generator to her house. She stayed there for about 2 or 3 hours. But she talked to our Carmine, which is our chief of sheriff, and he tried to ask her to come out. He goes, "We need to get you out of here so we can actually clean everything up." And she agreed. And he was kind of bummed that I told her that to get her a generator, but I followed through. I follow through on everything I always do. I keep my word. At the end of the day, I have two things into my life. I have my word. I have my name. I don't ever want to tarnish my name. I always want to keep my word. I always want to do the right thing. And for that 3 hours, that lady had electricity through her home. So it was. I kept my word, and it was great. Just to see a woman. I mean, she was probably about, I don't know, 50 years old, to go through a hurricane. A Cat 6. They say Cat 5. It was a Cat 6. It was over 150 miles an hour. It was very, very serious, what happened here in Cape Coral and Fort Myers.
Oh, it was insane. The devastation, and most of us would have never saw it because it wasn't on. The media didn't cover it. It wasn't. You never saw anything about it. If you weren't watching James and Tito, you weren't really seeing what really was going on. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of people that are watching the show right now and listening to us on Spotify and Apple and Megaphone, they're like, "What? I didn't even hear about this." That's what's so crazy about it. It wasn't in the media. It wasn't on TV. There was no one showing it except James Marco and Tito Ortiz were boots on the ground, not making videos to show off themselves. They were like, "Look, guys, we need help. We need
Yeah.
help here."
Well, I mean, now I kind of want to correct you here. Thank you
Okay.
again, for what you've given me. But Ron DeSantis, what he did for the state,
Oh
seeing the
no.
community together, all the first responders coming in, it was Florida helping Florida. And and the video we just showed, you can see Ivanka Trump came, and it was just giving back to the community and making sure we could get the stability back to where it used to be. It's going to take a couple years, but at the same time, at that time when people were in a dire need of distress, we were here to help. We were here to make it happen. And I was like looking, how come no one's posting about this? And this was after I was here for 8 days. And I had to go up to St. Louis for First Forum, one of my sponsors. And I had to go see my family. They flew my kid and my two kids and my wife over. And I went to go see him. And my wife goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "Babe, I never seen the stuff that I just seen right now. I never seen the destruction I seen. You see dead bodies, you smell the dead bodies, and nothing's on the media, nothing's on the news. All they said is, 'Oh, Florida got a hurricane.' That was it." And I was like, how come they're not talking about this? I was on actually the Adam Carolla show the next day because I flew back to California to go get some more stuff to come back. And I told them on Adam Carolla's show, I was like, only the community was coming together. The state
Right.
was helping. Where was FEMA? Where was Red Cross? Where was the National Guard? And they weren't here for the first 8 days. And after I got off the show, I got on a red eye flight. I flew back here to. Actually, I had to fly to Miami because that was the only airport that was open. James picked me up. We came all the way back up, and the next day, all of a sudden, President Joe Biden showed up. FEMA showed up. Everybody else started showing up, and I was like, "Did they hear me on the Adam Carolla show? Was that what it was?" And I
Maybe.
hope I was hoping that was not what it was. I hoping it was just like they finally realized the destruction that this county absorbed during that hurricane. That they realized that this is America. We need to help each other. But like you said, it wasn't her. It wasn't heard on the news. It wasn't on CNN. It wasn't on NBC. It wasn't on CBS. It was not on Fox. It was on nowhere. But we had to show recognition that these people needed help. The community needed help. And like I say, I did my part. It's only the beginning.
Yeah.
It's beautiful here. I love it here. It's peaceful. Um, the neighbors are great. The people walk by. They're like, "Hi, how are you?" And when I lived in Huntington Beach, that's how it used to be. Everybody would walk by, you're like, "Hi, how are you?" And over the last 4 years, when I was there in Huntington Beach, besides my neighbors, the other people that walk by, I'd say, "Hi, how are you?" They put their head down on their phone and they're like, "Don't say nothing." That's not America. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's always, "Hi, how are you?" I mean, I really want to make T-shirts that say hello once in a while. Just if you walk by someone, just say hello. I don't want to. You don't need a conversation. Just do the right thing with saying hello. Be greeting towards people, and it's important. And I think the separation that's happening right now, people need to come together. Once again, as I said prior, it don't matter if you're a Democrat, it don't matter if you're a Republican, it don't matter if you're a liberal. It really matters
You're an
that we live in
American.
America. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we need to treat it like that, and we treat each other like that.
I believe so. I believe you have a phenomenal message, and I love what you do. And I'm a big fan, so I watch you all the time. I used to watch you back in the day, and I'm sorry. I know talk about fishing, but there's some people on here that really are big fans of yours. Let's just for a minute just delve into the MMA that got to that big name, that got you to where you, because you were pretty damn badass in the
Thank
octagon.
you.
I was watching you all the time, buddy.
So I
So
mean, God, how it all began, I believe, is watching WWF wrestling. You know, as a kid growing up, I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. I love Hulk Hogan. You know, he always said, "Say your prayers and take your vitamins, brother." Um, Came out with the American flag all the time, and you know that was the Reagan era. You know, Reagan talked about the things about America, how great it is, and I was always fortunate as a kid growing up of understanding what this country's truly about. And I wanted to be Hulk Hogan. I wanted to be Muhammad Ali. And with mixed martial arts, I was able to find the happy medium of really being both of them together, being the entertainment and the real fighting value of Muhammad Ali and the entertainment of Hulk Hogan. And there is a real fighting about professional wrestling because it's real. People say it's fake. Yeah, the outcomes are fake, but the stuff, the work they put in is real. And I was able to be both of them together and become Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach bad boy, and five-time world champion. Very successful, just being an entrepreneur, being a great father, being a patriot of this country, trying to give back. And I just really wanted to follow through of what Hulk Hogan did through his career and what he continues to do after his career is over. I want the same opportunity. And once again, this country of America, it's about opportunity. If you want it, you got to chase it. You got to work for it. You got to bust your ass. If you're not going to bust your ass, nothing's handed to you. If it's gets handed to you, it's going to be taken away quicker than you even know. You got to work your ass off. And I've done it through my 25-year career. This is actually my first year that I literally can say I'm retired. I'm done. I'm done with fighting. I'm over it. I've given my heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears to have the career that I've had. I'm very thankful for my fans. If it wasn't for the fans, I wouldn't be here right now. But I had that dream in my mind of being a world champion. I had that dream in my mind of being the biggest name in mixed martial arts. It was just one of those things that I eat, sleep, and train being the best in the world. And I was very, very fortunate to be where I am right now. You know, the career that I've had has been tremendous. You know, I don't get a lot of respect for the UFC, which is okay. A lot of the younger fans that are kind of adapted the last 10 years, I get it, it's okay. And but they're trying to push the next guys to the next level, and I get it. But you know, for every martial arts or sports entertainment, you have the biggest stars. You know, like in professional wrestling, you have Hulk Hogan. In boxing, you have Muhammad Ali, and gosh, got Floyd Mayweather. And basketball, you have Michael Jordan. I mean, a lot of these guys you look back on, and they're some of the best in their talent that they had an opportunity to work with. And in my sport of mixed martial arts, I try to be the best I possibly can be and do it the honestly um, hardest working man there was, I thought in my mind. And with the integrity that I had through my career, I'm very thankful because when I look in the mirror every night before I go to bed, have I done the best I possibly can done? Yes. Have I done anything that helped others? Yes. And I think when my time is done and it's time for me to go up in heaven, when God asks me, have I helped anybody through my lifetime? I could say yes. Have I done anything to make myself better? Yes, I have. And I'm very fortunate because I refuse to be a victim. I'm a victor because when my mother and father, I spoke earlier that they had a drug problem with heroin, and my father never was able to get off of it. My mother got off of it. She gave me an opportunity in life that I never had, and I was very thankful because she became a real woman. And I had the same situation happen with my life just recently, not recently, over the last 10 years, with my twin boys, Destiny and Journey. Their mother had the same situation, and I loved her like no other, but I had to get an opportunity of giving them a bright future. So I had to make that sacrifice. I made that sacrifice, and it wasn't a sacrifice of just for me. It was a sacrifice for them of their future. When you love someone, you think love gets in the way so much, but when you love your kids so much, nothing can get in the way at all. And I was willing to sacrifice everything for it. And it was about my children. I just got married on 11/11/22 with my wife that I've been with for the last 10 and a half years. And she has given me everything I've ever wanted as a man, ever wanted as a husband, ever wanted it just as a father trying to give my children a bright future. And she's present. She loves my kids. She's helping with their homework, getting them to school, cooking for them, cooking for us, making sure the house is clean. We don't have nannies. We don't have any of that BS. We have a family. We have probably the most strongest nuclear family you possibly can have. And I'm very thankful. And we have our trials and tribulations through life, as everyone does, of course. But once again, we're not victims. We won't be a victim to society. We want to be victors, and we're going to try to inspire people for their next steps in their lives. Because there are a lot of parents who are fathers or single fathers, single mothers out there, and hopefully they're all listening, that we can get through it. In time, things will pass. And if you work hard, you do the right thing, you do the honest, right thing, God will bless us with great gifts, and I'm very thankful for that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. There's nothing more important than my three boys, our family, and my wife. I got you. I'm feeling it. I'm
Yes, sir.
trying to hold it together here because it's so important. My children are the most important thing, and my wife, and she keeps it all together. And she's an amazing woman, just like your wife. And oh, don't do this
Yes.
to me. But let's go back again because we were trying. You mentioned something that I locked on because I was a fan and I watched you. And I don't care what the UFC says, you were one of the reasons why they moved up so fast at that time because you were one of the superstars of the. But you talked about Muhammad Ali. You had a gift of talking that would get those guys get us watching. You got us watching. You got us paying our $49.95 to watch the fight. You got it because of your mouth and because of the way you talked. And I know that was eminent from now. Now I know Muhammad Ali and Hulk Hogan. You were putting on a show, bro, and you were doing it at a level that none of us had ever seen in that arena. Because I started watching when Dan Fry and or
Don
Fry,
Fry, Mark Coleman,
Severn,
Brady
Coleman, all those guys were fighting, and I was watching it. And then all of a sudden, here they didn't talk. You didn't. You
Yeah.
just knew they were fighting. And then here comes you, and then the whole thing changed, man. And all the hype was there, and all. I don't care what they say. You were one of the guys that drove that thing up the ladder the way it went. So,
when the Fertittas bought the company, they bought the company because of me, because I was a poster boy for them. And through that 4-year period, I was, and I was thankful for them to give me the opportunity. I'm very thankful for Dana doing the things he did for me. Very thankful for Lorenzo Fertitta doing the things he did for me. And I worked hard. There was times I would go on road trips across the country, promoting mixed martial arts. Promoting the UFC of the next big greatest thing. And I never got paid for it, but I went out because I had a love for the sport. I love the sport. I love what opportunity that I had. I had that dream as a kid watching Hulk Hogan coming out with the American flag, and like that was my dream. And my dream was becoming a manifestation of realizing that this is true. This can happen if you set your mind to something. You set your goals strong. You work hard, do the right thing. Look at yourself in the mirror and saying, "Am I doing the right thing?" Yes. Then you have that goal of knowing that you could accomplish that goal. And I've done it through my career. I'm very, very thankful. And like I said, I look back on it, and now it's kind of hard because what do I do with my life? Because I've lived on such a high pedestal of being around so many people, of getting ready for a fight, and just getting ready to compete, cutting the weight, walking out to the octagon, having 10,000, 15,000 people screaming your name, and all of a sudden it's gone. And there's so many professional athletes that get to my age, I'd have that same situation that they understand, like, wow, what else do we do? Well, to me, I try to keep myself grounded. I try to keep myself humble. I try to keep myself as someone else. I never see myself better than anybody else. I always want to stay humble. I always make sure people that I talk to, and I've been to Fred Hall show, ICAST, a lot of the events that I talk to people like, wow, Tito, you're a humble guy. I'm like, I'm no different than you. I work my ass off. I work hard as I possibly can. I did construction. I did security. I did roofing. I did carpentry. I did all these things as I grew up as a kid. So now I understand that all this stuff could be taken away in the snapping of fingers. But if you treat a person with respect and values, you get that same respect and values treated back towards you. And that's why, I really never wanted it to be an inspiration to just as a fighter. I want to be a role model to people, understanding that the things that have happened through my life, that it's been challenging and heartbreaking and real stuff, but I was able to scratch off, the wounds and the dirt and everything just to make myself who I am today. And I'm a real guy. I I'm not a multi-millionaire like Conor McGregor. I still I'm a blue collar guy. I still got to work to pay bills. But I've lived a great life. I was laying in bed last night with my wife and we're just talking, and I was thankful for her because she made me realize that love is possible again. With my ex, I had a lot of problems just because I wanted to love someone and have that white picket fence house and have that happy family. But now I do. I do have that. And it took me, almost 11 years to get where we are. And we have the ups and downs. But I have a partner who's my best friend, who's a wonderful mother, who really takes care of our children like her own. And they're not her children. They're not her biological mother, but she take care of us as their own. And we have that nuclear family. And I'm thankful. I'm very, 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 very thankful just because of the things I've gone through in my life. I've seen stuff that make people go, huh, how are you here right now? How come you're not on drugs? How come you're not in prison? And I ask myself that same questions. And at the end of the day, I have to look at the big man upstairs and saying, thank you, God, for giving me the opportunities, the things that I've gone through because I learned from them. And I'm very, very thankful.
Oh my gosh, that's so humble. What blew me away was when we were at Fred Hall and we were cruising around, and anybody that wanted to talk to you, you talked to them. And I was like, dude, this is insane, man. Because there were so many people that wanted to talk to you, but you stopped and you took the time and you talked to all of them. And it was pretty incredible for me as because I'll geek out for a minute. I've been sport boat captain, yacht captain for 40 something years. But man, when I got to meet you, I was like a little geek. I was like, oh my God, it's Tito. And John Brunson goes, dude, calm down. Walk up and talk to him. I go, really? He goes, yeah. And I shook your hand and you were like, oh, Dave, man, I've been following you for a long. I'm like, no, you're following me? Come on.
Yeah,
And it blew my
I see
mind
good
how
fishermen still. When I see good fishermen, I want to take tips. Like I say, you always got to be a learner. You always got to learn. You always got to learn. No matter. You can never stop learning. You can learn every single
no.
day.
And it was such a humbling experience for me because you were like one of my guys, man. I never missed UFC. I never missed your fights. I was always there. And I'm sorry, I'm going to geek one more time and then we're going to go back to fishing. That Ken Shamrock fight probably was the fight. That was the hype building up to that fight, man. I'm sorry, I'm going there. I don't know what it is with you and Ken if you guys are buddies. I don't know if it was all just a show to get us all to buy it, but boy, you
No,
played
in the
that one up
beginning,
good.
it was not a show. I
Okay,
hated him, and hate's a strong word.
but yeah,
I guess they say I dislike the man just because I remember back in 98, and we're at an event, a UFC event, and he was walking by, and a kid walked up and asked for an autograph and said no, and he pushed the kid away. I was like,
no,
that's your fan right there. That's a fan you just like let go. And I can imagine he used to talk to like tell 20 of his friends, 20 of his friends got 20 of their friends, and it becomes a tree effect. And I told myself at that time, I go, I'll never be that person. And I disliked him, and we had a dislike to each other. I beat Jerry Bolander, I beat Guy Metzger. I really just disliked the way he carried himself. And I had an opportunity to fight him for the first time, UFC 40, and it was one of the biggest events UFC at that time ever, pay per view wise, the gate, merchandising, and so forth. But it was hatred. It was hatred. Then we
okay,
did the Ultimate Fighter. We did the Ultimate Fighter. Had the biggest viewership. I think we did 4.5 million on Spike TV. Then we fought that second time. I stopped him in a minute 23 seconds. And then he said, "Oh, you guys stopped the fight too soon." I was like, "All right, cool. We'll do it again." So that was the third time we fought, and I stopped him in I think 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And we shook hands after. After it was over, we had our hatred was over. Once again, hatred is a bad word to say, just because it's a little too much. Um, but we're able to shake hands and say, you know what, Ken, you brought the best out of me, and I was very thankful for that. And
good.
he was
Thank you for talking about it, man, because
yeah,
that was
yeah.
a big fight of my life, and I wasn't there, but I was there. I was sitting at the front of my TV. I was in Crane. So thank you for touching on that for a minute.
Yes, of course.
Because I know there's a lot of people here that are talking about it. So now you live in Florida, you get to hang out with James, and that guy's an incredible fisherman. And you guys, those Goliath grouper thing, that looks so much fun.
That's been my checklist of my life. This was our second time going out for him, and actually that was my first one I got. I fished the 30 wide Akuma Makaira. Yep, and I used 400-pound braid. We used I think it was 800-pound steel, and I pulled them out of the rocks because the week prior I went to go fish with them. I broke off 7 of them. 7 at a time I broke off.
And I know. He filmed it all. We watched it.
Yeah. And I had a rod from United Composite, which is an eliminator, and it's a rail rod for bluefin tuna. And I actually used, on these smaller boats, it's hard to use the rail. So I used the rail in this, and James was like, what are you doing? Well, it took you only 8 minutes to bring that fish over there. I think it's probably about 450. He was a nice fish. We cut him, put the air bladder down. We pushed him back down. He swam down. He was okay. And once again, it's a catch or release trip with Goliath. But it was one of the checklists in my fishing career that I've always wanted to do. I want to catch Goliath grouper. But they're right here in my backyard now. They're literally like 5 miles out. You can catch them. Super easy. Actually, super easy to catch, not easy to bring in. Not easy to bring up. It's hard. It's a challenge. And you got to know what you're doing when you're catching these fish. Captain James Mark was an amazing captain. We actually got that one. I believe that we used jack on that one. So we're using a whole jack. I mean, it's a 15-pound bait that we're using. So, and big circle hook, big weight, 4-ounce weight, slide weight. But it was just an amazing experience. I had a lot of opportunities so far. I caught my first tarpon. It was a smaller one, probably about a 60-pound tarpon. Got opportunity to catch amberjack. I've caught them before, but just here locally, amberjack, a lot of the grouper and everything. And this is another opportunity that I have now that I open Tito's Cantina Tequila Bar and Grill. Here is I'll be catching my own grouper to do fish tacos because it's a Mexican authentic food here in Cape Coral. But I'll be catching all my own fish. So it's the fresh catch from Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, so once again, you're giving back to the community. Cape Coral needs this. They need this. They need this, and you're doing it, my man. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of work. It's been a lot of work already. We're not even close to being open. We're probably like 80% done with the build out. But I'm there pretty much every single day, making sure everything's getting put the way we want it.
It should go very, very well. It should be awesome. Look at that. As we cruise along here with Tito, we're going to get him back on here in just a second. There he is. But gang, we got about 10 minutes left with the man. If there's anybody that has a burning question that you have to ask or you want to ask, like I said before, Tito is a very humble person. If you got something that you want to know, Elliot will flash it up here on the bottom of the screen, and if it looks appropriate, we'll try to answer the question, because I told Tito I'd only take up an hour of his time. I'm very, very happy that you spent a little bit of time with us, and thank you very, very much. And
I have no idea.
We'll have to get together and do this again. He's got no audio, Elliot. So if you got something,
no audio.
Yeah, we're trying to fix that right now. I don't know what's going on.
Ooh.
You got me now? Can you hear me? No? Can't hear me? I don't know what happened. Must be on his end. If you guys,
no audio.
I know, we can hear you though. We hear you. We hear you.
It's going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
I can hear you though. So go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't hear you. It's going in and out. It's like chopping through. Chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, we hear you just fine. So if there's anybody on here, Elliot says to see what that.
It's like a lag.
All right. So he wants you to join, leave, and then rejoin. He's going to try to send you a message. But gang, what I was trying to tell you is, if you have a burning desire to talk to Tito. We'll take some questions here. We get him back on here. We got 10 more minutes to go. As we're bringing him back on here, I want you to look at something real quick about Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. It's a big deal. Bucket list. Can you hear us now?
Still.
No, still nothing. Okay. All right, gang, what a great interview we're having here. We'll get right back to it in just a second, but check out Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. Larry Hansen and the boys over there, Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance, have put together some phenomenal bucket list trips, world-class trips to Alaska. You have to check out this. They're running a special right now. You can go fish in Alaska for his cost to host you in Alaska. He wants to show off his new lodge up there. You need to jump on this. You need to check it out. There's never going to be a deal like this. Go over to Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. I'll throw the QR code up here in a second and let them know your saltwater guide sent you, and you're going to get a smoking hot deal on top of the deal that's already happening. So Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Alliance. All right, gang. So that's what I was talking about with Larry and the boys over at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. The deal that he's got going on right now is for members. You just use that QR code. You go over and look at his everything he's got to do taking you fishing. You go over there and you check out his website and let him know you're from Your Saltwater Guide, and he's going to take care of you and give you a smoking hot deal. And you can only get that deal because you're a member of Your Saltwater Guide. You won't be able to get it anywhere else. So grab that QR code before we pull it down off the screen again. And make sure you get in there and go and check out all the cool stuff Larry has. He's got places to fish in Mexico. He's got places to fish in Alaska. He's got places to fish on the sport boats. So if you're thinking about coming down to Mexico and you're like, I don't know, it's scary. I was watching the news last night. There is nothing scary about Mexico. My wife and I live here. Kelly girl goes down to the store, goes to the bank, does all the things that we do in America. Down here, there's really nothing to be afraid of down here. But if you have a little bit of fear, you go to Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance, get with Larry and the boys. They'll take you on a tour down here. They'll go with you on the plane, take you to their lodge. You'll get to go fish with them and the other members of the website, and you guys will have time of your life. It's like a timeshare type of thing.
There we go.
There we go. Tito's back. We're done.
Sorry, guys.
Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. We will talk about you again next Friday. All right, Tito's back. Gang, if you got any questions, like now we got like 8 minutes with the man. So think about your questions if you want to talk about it. Now, when you moved to Florida, what was the fish? Oh, here we go. When is the cantina scheduled to open?
Cantina is scheduled to open on 4th of July. So we have the red, white, and blue here on Cape Coral Parkway. And I'm literally on Cape Coral Parkway. So it's going to be an amazing opportunity. Just for the community to taste authentic Mexican food, of course, a little bit of Southern California Mexican food coming here to Cape Coral, Florida. And I've eaten pretty much every Mexican food place here in Lee County. And there's probably about 3 or 4 that are pretty damn decent, but they're little small hole in the walls with no atmosphere, no alcohol, no nothing. Ours is going to have everything: atmosphere, service, food, and a beautiful event. So I'm excited to have it.
Oh, yeah. How cool is that going to be? So I think it's spectacular because once again, you're giving back to the community. You're creating jobs. You're creating a tax base. You're creating so much that people don't, oh, he's just opening up a bar like you're. No, you're giving back to the community. You understand how important it is.
Correct.
Then when you went to Florida, there's so much more fishing to do there than there is here in Southern California. You grew up fishing in Southern California, but man, you could go out in your backyard and fish, right? In Florida.
Actually, yeah, no. So I catch snook in my backyard. I catch largemouth bass in my backyard. I catch juvenile tarpon in my backyard. And we literally have canals back here that it's not like the harbor, as you can see, Newport Harbor or Huntington Harbor. These are like little small canals, and it's fresh and saltwater. What do they call it? Brisk or so forth. A bracket. Correct. Yeah, and my son caught a tarpon or caught a snook. Catch largemouth bass. There's a lot of fish in these areas, lots of fish, and these are the fish that people aren't keeping to eat. They're keeping to catch and release, so that makes them more plentiful.
Right. Now you got your boys into this fishing thing like you were into it when you were little, young like them, right? They're in. I
Yeah,
see a lot of pictures you post with the boys fishing.
yeah, they've been in it now. Gosh, since they've been 6, 7. Like I said, they probably have about 2,000 hours on my boat on the West Coast. But since we've been here, we haven't been an opportunity to go out offshore yet, or even inshore. We do most just canal fishing, but they love it. To watch them catch largemouth bass, it brings me back to when I was, 13, 14 years old, catching largemouth bass at, Mouse Square Park or Lake Park or some of the parks that I fished when I was a kid growing up. But here's a little bit different. It's nice. It is nice, and the weather's beautiful. Like it's literally 85 degrees year round.
Nice, beautiful. Yeah, they haven't seen the sun in Southern California in over 3 weeks. My sister said down at Dana Point, they have not seen the sun. So,
Yeah, no, here actually at 6:30 p.m. it usually starts raining about now. So last week they said it's going to start, and literally last week at 6:30 p.m. every single day it has rained for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then it stops, and then it clears up. It is the weirdest thing. I never even imagined it.
all right, something that my wife and I, we lived in Fort Lauderdale for 4 months last year while we were building the Viking, and manatees. We didn't see any. You got manatees in your backyard?
Not in my backyard, but actually on was it Mount Lachey, Northern Captiva. There's manatees everywhere. A lot of them, big ones too, and they're pretty damn cool. They're like big seals with got walrus faces. They're pretty damn cool looking though.
Oh yeah, and they just eat grass, so they don't bother me and you. They're not eating our fish like in California.
Yeah, the seals. Those are a big problem in California. That's for sure.
Oh, it's incredible that and all the other things that are going on to stop us from fishing in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So one more time, let's talk about what you have going on besides the cantina. What else is Tito Ortiz doing to give back to the community? To do what are we promoting for you? Because we're running out of time here, and I want to give you a little bit of time.
Well, I don't think it's really about promoting. People are
Okay.
going to follow me on Tito Ortiz on Instagram, Tito Ortiz 1999. I was at Tito Ortiz IG on Instagram, Tito Ortiz on Twitter, Tito Ortiz on Facebook. But I think it's really about this country coming together. I think everybody, we're having some hard times right now, and people say don't talk about politics. It's not, but this is not about politics. This is about our country, and I think people need to love that neighbor and do the right thing. Community come together. Either it's working for the community itself, as I try to do in Huntington Beach, and I'm thankful for the city council members in Huntington Beach. Fighting for the right things that are happening in Huntington Beach. My mother still lives there. I own a home in Huntington Beach, so I'm still, half-time resident there, back and forth. But it's about our future of this country. It's important for our soldiers, for our veterans, ones who fought for this country and gave their lives, ones who lost their limbs for this country. We need help. We need a lot of help, and our families need help. The stuff that's happening in schools with the kids, things are happening right now. Just in general, we need to bring God into our lives again. And I never stopped. Our family never stops. In schools, the families need to fight for their kids. Be a parent, be a present parent, be a parent to sit down during dinner time. Take the cell phones away from your kids and sit at dinner time and talk about their day. Talk about what was the effectual time of their day. And that's important because with my children, I try to do the same thing. My kids just turned 14 years old, and they haven't had a cell phone until they're 14 years old. And that was something that I learned through watching the Microsoft owner of making iPhones, and he talked about that not having a kid having a cell phone until he was 14 years old. Well, I did that, and I'm thankful for that because my kids have social skills, and it's important. But once again, it's about the family. It's about the nuclear family. It's about loving God. It's about making sure that we understand that our families need to stay close together. We need to make sure that fathers and mothers, or if we're separate, if it's a single mother, it's a single father, is trying to bring each other together and raising our children the right way with integrity, values, our name. It's important, and I think we all need this right now. And once again, And we've talked a little about this prior, saying, we're going to lose half our viewers if we talk about politics. And I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here
Right.
to talk about America, about our families, of what we really need and what's important is the family values of having God in our life, and it is important.
Oh, it's absolute. I'm on your team 100%. Team America.
Yes,
That's the
sir.
team
Thank
I'm
you.
on. Albert just posted something right there talking about he hopes to see you next week up in North Captiva. See that?
Yeah, Northern Captiva. Yep. I believe next week I'll see you there.
Sweet.
That's a beautiful Northern Captiva. That was one of the places that got destroyed by the hurricane completely. We're out there. We got generators out to them. We got power tools out to them just to kind of clip all the stuff off. And it's up growing now. Now they have mangoes there, which is an amazing place to visit. It takes a little 20 or 30-minute boat ride, but it's nice. Great community, great service, great people, and I've been out there 5 times. The first 3 times during the hurricane. The last 2 times, one was for a veteran trip that we did. We brought a bunch of veterans out fishing from there, just with Gills and Trills with Clay Guida. We did that trip. Was it amazing? Everybody in Northern Captiva treated us really, really well. We had a great time, but great fishing right off each point. You either want to go offshore doing some grouper fishing, or if you want to go right in the Boca Raton Pass for was it tarpon? It's really good fishing also.
I love when you switch it and talk about fishing and you just light up. It's just like ding, fishing.
I'm like a kid in a candy store at Christmas time when it comes to fishing. Like I say, I love it. It's a passion of mine. I mean, I'm a better fisherman than I ever was a fighter. That's how much I love fishing. It's peace and serenity being on the water. Every day is a different day, no matter what day it is. Every single day is different. You don't know. Sometimes you get skunked. Sometimes you kill the fish. Sometimes you catch a couple. But it's just being on the water every single day and loving the water, getting vitamin D, what God gave us here to be healthy. It's nice. It's beautiful, and I think it's a little bit of peace and serenity that people need in their lives.
I do too. And like you said a little while ago, every time you go out to it's a learning experience. If you don't catch
Yes,
fish, you learn stuff. If you do catch fish, you learn stuff. We're just
correct.
constantly learning all the time. And as soon as you don't learn, you stop catching.
That is correct for sure. Welcome to fishing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Tito, thank you very, very much for your time. I've run over a couple minutes, but thank you very, very much. It was a pleasure having you with us. I really appreciate this from the bottom of my heart, and I know all our viewers are really appreciating that. Thank you, everybody on Spotify and Apple and Megaphone for listening to this podcast. We do appreciate you. Make sure to go check out Tito's. We'll flash it up there one more time. His Instagram page. Elliot will
Yeah,
throw it
my
up there.
Instagram is Tito IG on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Tito Ortiz. On Facebook, it's Tito Ortiz. Um, all our fishermen, fisher gals, I love your support. Thank you so much. Tight Lines 2023.
All right, guys. Thank you.